someday in 87. We don't know when. Sometimes it takes time for things to become obvious. So I got a bad ending. Similarly, I also needed time to realize that I genuinely loved Ellie. Unfortunately, I only realized that once it was too late. No, I wasn't going to justify her feisty personality and propensity to draw hasty conclusions, but I'm going to blame her alone for what had happened either. Every conflict has two sides. It had been in my power to decisively let Iwamura know that there was nothing and could be nothing between us. And you did! When did I ever show sympathy to Kagome? In my choices, I never once showed sympathy to Kagome. Not once was I like, okay, but like, hear her out though, Ellie. Like, no. I could also have been more honest with myself and realized my feelings for Ellie sooner. But it seemed like Iwamura had any intention of letting me go, hot. She would initiate conversations with me at every break, call me for lunch, and brought me a bento almost every day, hot. I kept persistently rejecting this courtship, but something looks like a duck, swims like a duck, and quacks like a duck. It's probably a duck. My classmates and even Kyosuke soon started to look at me with distrust. If an outcast is so friendly with you, then it's likely that you two have something in common, which in turn means that you too can be considered an outcast. I didn't know why Kagome was doing this, and I didn't much care for her motives. Maybe she really did fall in love with me, or maybe this was a complicated way to exact revenge. Revenge for what, though? In any case, I was doing everything I could to let Iwamura know that I wasn't interested in getting closer to her. How it looked from the outside was, of course, another matter. Ellie kept avoiding me in every possible way. She stopped coming to the old music classroom, ignored me during breaks, and pretended like I didn't even exist. First, I tried to talk to her while she was in class, but Ellie would either act like I wasn't there or walk out into the hall and keep running away from me all over the school until the bell. It all looked silly and even comical, but not for Ellie's fan club, of whose existence I previously had no idea. A couple times, some guys tried to talk to me after class, but in the end, it never resulted in violence. Autumn came into its full power. Ellie continued to deny my existence, but was less and less successful at it with every day. One day I was waiting for her at the classroom, and when she was about to enter, stood in the doorway blocking it. Ellie stopped, pouted, and stared at an area around my chest with a kind of disappointment in her eyes, as if trying to burn a hole in it. She kept standing like that for a while, then tried to squeeze through, which of course didn't work. I just want to have a simple conversation with you. That's it. She stubbornly avoided looking me in the eyes. There's never been anything between me and Iwamura. Anakin-kun. Takehito's wrathful voice came from behind me. I turned around on reflex, and that instant was enough for Ellie to sneak under my arm. How long is this going to last? Anger in her eyes was mixed with disapproval, but there was no hatred or contempt in them. I don't want to appear rude, Takehito, but that's none of your business. It is, since you're violating school rules. Go on then, call the police. I scoffed and fixed her with a confident, unblinking glare, surprised at my own bravery. Our silent confrontation lasted for 10 seconds. Anakin-kun, if you don't stop, I'll be forced to tell the principal. May as well tell the Emperor for all I care. I got interrupted by the bell and had to leave them in a peace for a time. Of course, I was much more afraid of Kobayashi-jun than Takehito, as he had made clear he no longer wanted to see me near his granddaughter. Either Ellie hadn't told him how persistent I was being, or there was a different reason, but in all the time that had passed after our last conversation at my house, I never met him or his people. That couldn't help but lift my spirits, but I also felt like it couldn't continue forever. Even if Ellie herself wouldn't tell her grandfather that I'd ignored his warning, her bodyguards or some Kobayashi corporation could notice me. But I'd already decided, come what may, I was prepared to do whatever it takes to not lose the girl I loved. Besides, Ellie's behavior hinted that she still had feelings for me. Did it? Go on, justify that one. When you care nothing about a person, you don't avoid contact with them so fiercely. Sure. Only if their mere appearance still evokes something in your soul that you're so stubbornly trying to escape will you deny the very fact of their existence. I don't know, my guy. It kind of seems like you're coping. Like you're really grasping at straws there. Like, I don't know, if she really hated me, she'd tell me to fuck off, right? If she really didn't like me, she'd say something, right? Right, guys? Right? She doesn't really dislike me, right? But in reality, I hadn't made much progress over the past few weeks. Even if Ellie indeed was lying to herself, she was doing a pretty good job at it. Having successfully fended off Iwamura once again, I was sitting in Kyosuke's company during break, eating a bun I'd bought from the cafeteria. She just refuses to let you be. Oh, Yomura-san. Just don't start that whole thing again about there being something between us. Nick, I wasn't. He didn't finish the sentence, sighed, and opened his third, by now, bag of chips. I'm trying to fix my relationship with Ellie. This attention from Iwamura is the last thing I need right now. If she were a guy, I'd punch her in the face, I swear. Quiet, you. He hissed at me. Everyone else would be happy to be in your place. Are you suggesting I should get together with Iwamura? Yes. I'm not suggesting anything. I am. He replied angrily and leaned back in his chair. Good. My radar is tuned only to Ellie. Dumbass. Problem is, your radar is lacking in wavelength. I understand, but... Nick, have you ever thought that, well, that you two aren't meant to be together? I don't believe in fate. I'm not talking about fate. Think of it as you being parts from different cars. So I'm from some old model and she's part of a new sports car? Is that what you mean? How's that different from fate? I'm pretty sure fate isn't about cars. He sighed and lowered his head. As your friend, I wish you well. The path of least resistance isn't always the best one. Yeah, but the path of most resistance is always the best one either. You can keep claiming your shit, you still look like a fucking idiot. Have it your way. But Kyosuke's words really made me think. Good. We were living in the most enlightened time in the history of humanity, but did we really have equal opportunities? It wasn't about love. Juliet loved Romeo, but they weren't meant to be together. A simple Ronin could hardly marry a shogun's daughter. Indeed, could I imagine myself being next to Ellie with her seated in her grandfather's armchair in that office with its view upon Tokyo's business district? I was less afraid of potentially becoming Ellie's gigolo than being a toy she'd be able to part with as easily as with her dream to be a jockey. I was terribly scared of losing control over my own life. On the other hand, isn't that called love? When you can trust the other person with the most precious thing you have? Yeah, key word there. Trust. Clearly she has none in you. You can trust her all you want. Go ahead, trust her. Why would you do that? I don't know. I don't know why you still continue to trust her. But clearly she does not trust you. Right now, this love is very one-sided. You can say you love her all you want, that you trust her all you want. It's very one-sided. If it's not being reciprocated, is it really a love worth fighting for? Of course, if they want... There we go. Okay. So he at least acknowledges that. Oh my god. I kept running after Ellie. Ellie, wait. I just want to have a talk. Is it too much to ask? You're going to keep running away from me until the end of the school year? Ask Kyosuke. He can tell you that there is and was nothing between me and Iwamura. Although he wasn't the most reliable witness, however you looked at it. Yep. I love only you. Yep. Ellie, please. Yep. Ellie, enough. This is just silly. Yep. You're acting like a child who didn't get her candy. Yep. What can I say for you to forgive me? Yep. I'm enjoying this whole montage. Ellie, I haven't done anything wrong. Is that wait. Is there a little grin on her face? No, hold up, run it back. Yeah. So she's got a scowl there. She's got a scowl there. She's got a scowl. She's still scowling. And then, yeah, in that music room. Yeah, and now she's smiling. Okay. If you only give me a chance to explain everything. None of my attempts brought any results, but the expression on Ellie's face softened little by little. I noticed that myself, yes. It seemed to be getting more and more difficult for her to look away and ignore me. One day it would definitely have to end, except that there wasn't much time left until graduation. And after that, I wouldn't be able to see her as often, if ever. It seemed that there was a simple solution I just didn't have the smarts to come up with. Just a bit more time and everything would become clear to me. Pieces of the puzzle would fit together and my broken happiness machine would start again. But not everything in life depends on our actions alone. Another school day passed, having yielded no results. Ellie continued avoiding me, ignoring any time we crossed paths, as if I were a hallucination that would disappear if she didn't pay attention to it. I didn't have much to do besides my attempts to explain myself to her, so all my time after the end of the class blended together into an endless gray stream without beginning or end. I would come home, watch TV, read, make dinner, and sleep. I didn't talk to anyone, go anywhere, or even play any games. I didn't want to tidy up, iron my clothes, wash them, or do anything else housework related. Not that I used to be very diligent with that before, but now the very thought of cleaning up was painful. Moreover, my entire life started revolving around Ellie. Yeah, now you're getting really obsessive about it, aren't you? I don't like that. I just don't like that. As if everything else in the world stopped existing at all. I could only imagine life with her, or not at all. Seeing that we would either make up or the universe would shrink to the state it used to be before the Big Bang, having realized how pointless existence was without our love. Obviously, somewhere deep inside, I knew that my obsession wasn't normal, but I couldn't, and most importantly didn't, want to do anything about it. What's so bad about having feelings for someone? Why do you gotta generalize it like that? What's so bad about having feelings? What you're going through is more than just having feelings. You are obsessed, homie. You're obsessed with someone who's not reciprocating the shit back. Yeah, sometimes they can be excessive or even virtually crippling, but at the same time, they bring so much happiness and euphoria when your loved one responds in kind. Except they're not responding in kind, dumb fuck. You're just being an obsessive fucking weirdo. Oh, it's so great when they respond in kind. Yeah, it is. It's fucking wonderful when they respond in kind. But shit, homie, do you not realize that you've become the Iwamura to Ellie? Constantly following her at every chance you get, trying to show up at every chance, trying to fucking constantly interact with her. Like, fuck, dude. God, And while there was still any hope at all that Ellie would forgive me. Fuck. I walked out of the school with a firm intention to spend another pointless evening alone. When it was Tokyo Rider at the gate. Oh! My man! Woo! Tokyo Rider! As soon as he saw me, he started waving his hands. I remember when I was a school kid. I came closer and he greeted me with some vague gesture, as if saluting to me. That was like a couple years ago. He mysteriously flashed his dark glasses. To what do I owe the honor? I knew it probably wasn't a courtesy visit. We've got a concert today, he said, and went silent as if that made everything clear. And? You invited me to drop by? I don't think Ellie would be happy about that. I am, in a sense. Our new bass player hurt his hand and can't play. How do you intend to perform with no bass? Elle hasn't decided yet, but she told all of us to come to the club. I see. And you know the material. I felt a glimmer of hope spark in my heart. Maybe this was the lucky break I've been waiting for. Of course it comes from bass Tokyo Rider. But along with it, I felt piercing doubt. And whose idea was it to invite me? Mine, Ishida and Mitsuyoshi agreed. And Ellie? The situation was obviously difficult. It was hard for me to imagine Ellie being excited about me as a possible solution, seeing how persistently she'd been avoiding me all this time. Ellie doesn't know yet. She doesn't know? I smirked. So, should we expect you? He asked, unperturbed. I don't know. At first glance, what was there to think about? I felt like a shy accountant who had just been offered the position of vice president of his big company. Happy, sure, with zero confidence that he'd be able to handle the job and afraid of the responsibility. Well, my job here is to make the offer. I still have a few hours to think. Elle will be happy, even if she doesn't realize it yet. Ah, I love your eyes. Having said that, he turned around and headed for his car, parked on the other side of the street. Thank you. I shot after him. Tokyo Rider raised his hand without turning back to me, waving a farewell. The streets were particularly crowded today. I hurried home as if I'd simultaneously forgotten to turn off the iron, the stove, the gas, close the doors and the windows, and feed dogs I didn't have. The meeting with Tokyo Rider had kicked my brain into high gear. I couldn't stop thinking of every possible way taking his offer could end in failure. Here was Ellie, simply ignoring me. And here she was mockingly asking how I'd even thought about something like that. Then I was getting beaten up by her guards, dragged out of the club, and left to bleed out in a dirty alley. Maybe I was even running into Kobayashi Jun himself in the dressing room. Except, what would he be doing there? The door turned out to be locked, the windows were closed, the gas was off. I was walking back and forth from one corner of the kitchen to the other and couldn't decide what to do. Nothing stopped me from running after Ellie the entire day at school, but when I finally got the chance to make her talk to me, all my determination suddenly evaporated. Pussy. After all, she'd most likely have to say something if I were to offer to replace their bass player. He picked the perfect time to hurt his hand. Tokyo Rider's mysterious grin appeared before my eyes. Yeah, I did so. Tokyo Rider, please tell me you planned that. Please tell me y'all did something to fuck him over like that. He couldn't have, could he? Yeah, he did. You know he did. If you have to ask if he did, he did. Oh, I love Tokyo Rider. He's my favorite side character. He kicks ass. I was so agitated I couldn't sit still. The kitchen was too small for me. Don't let down Tokyo Rider. I don't give a fuck about Ellie. Do it for Tokyo Rider. Don't let down Tokyo Rider like this. My man deserves better. He's put some faith in you. Step up for my man. Ellie can go fuck herself. I don't care. My man Tokyo Rider, don't you dare let down my man Tokyo Rider. I walked into my bedroom, and my gaze stopped on the bass. Oh, for fuck's sake. I just offered my help as a friend. It didn't have to be about love. Yeah! Yeah! As a friend to Tokyo Rider! It wasn't even for Ellie. There were the other guys too. Yeah! Like Tokyo Rider! After all, she wasn't alone in Zed Fields. Yeah! There's also Tokyo Rider! All my doubts disappeared at once. There was no thought in my mind but to appear on the stage as soon as possible with the guitar in my hands. I dashed in the hall, quickly put on my shoes, and ran out of the house. Tokyo Rider! There seemed to be even fewer people on the street. I ran effortlessly and breathed regularly. The wind whistled in my ears, and my legs were full of pleasant strength. At one point, I started to feel like I was standing still, the world around me flying by like a cityscape behind a train window. I could feel confidence and determination in every cell of my body. This time I was going to do things right. Finally, the club appeared from around the corner. Tokyo Rider and Ishida were standing at the entrance. I ran to them and caught my breath. So you came after all. I ran. I barely exhaled. Nick, we're very grateful, no matter what. Ishida shook my hand firmly. Sure, no problem. But you need to talk to Elle. She's been angry ever since she found out that our bassist won't be able to play. She locked herself up in the dressing room and isn't letting anyone in. Got it? There's no reason to rush anymore, so I slowly entered the club. Inside there were only a few other musicians, idly sipping beers at the bar. Ellie, it's me. I carefully knocked on the door of the dressing room. Ellie? Jerked on the door handle. Strangely, it wasn't locked. Hear the Wind? Oh, is it time for Hear the Wind? This is Hear the Wind, isn't it? Yeah, it is! One of the jams, let's go. I stepped in and saw Ellie standing in the middle of the room with an absent expression on her face. Hi. She didn't even look at me. The guy said that your new bass player hurt his hand. Wasn't I framing them? Although, it was the truth. What was there to hide? I just want to help you. Help Zed Feels. Are you going to perform without a bassist? Her persistence was worthy of better cause. We don't have to talk. We'll just go onto the stage, play, and then I'll leave. Ellie, I understand you're angry. Admit that you have a reason to be upset with me. Does she? You're acting like a child at this point. Other people shouldn't have to suffer because of our relationship. She remained silent while I walked across the dressing room and noticed a sachet on the table. You mean satchel? A satchel with powder. Pretty heavy one. I grabbed it and came closer to Ellie. So you're doing it again? She finally paid some attention to me. It's none of your business. Of course not. I scoffed sarcastically. Who asked you to come? We'll play without a bass. No big deal. We played with you before. There's not much difference. Thanks for the compliment. But from the tone of her voice, it was clear that Ellie just wanted to hurt me. I didn't really believe what she was saying. Why do you keep trying to get close to me? Go to your whore! She suddenly burst into tears. Here we go again. How many times do I have to repeat that there's nothing between me and Iwamura, and there never was?
Why are you two always together?
When are we together?
At school, during every break.
Who told you that?
Everyone saw it.
Ellie got a bit embarrassed. Ah, everyone. I flung my arms up in the air. Iwamoto really wants something from me, but I don't know what. She talks about love. I was about to start crying again. But you wait a minute. I don't think love has anything to do with it. Maybe she wants to tear us apart, avenge her father. Have you ever thought of that?
But why?
Something akin to realization flashed on her face for a moment. I don't know. She believes that her father had been kidnapped by the Kobayashi Corporation. I say carefully, blaming some simulacrum instead of a specific person, her grandfather.
Very convenient, Nick.
Ellie frowned. What? Is it my fault again? Maybe I kidnapped him.
Chasing 2 rabbits.
Do you really think I want a harem? We've been together not that long, but long enough for you to get to know me? At least I hope so. She lowered her eyes again like a puppy who just made a mess. And if Iwamoto really wants us to fight each other, she's doing a great job, and you're helping her brilliantly. And anyway, I came here to help with the performance, not to sort out our relationship.
So you think I could stand with you on the stage if...
Tears ran down her red cheeks, and in that moment, Ellie looked more beautiful than ever. That's weird. If what?
I don't know. I can't, Nick. But I see you with her.
She choked on her sobs. Sunshine, you're the only one I love. And when I looked at her in that instant, everything became clear. This wasn't fate, what then? Destiny or quantum determinism? It was a matter of terminology, but one way or another, we were meant to meet and fall in love with each other. No! No! Would you really allow such a petty thing to destroy our love? I understand that I'm at fault here.
What? No, you're fucking not!
God, this route sucks. At first, I thought everything was going too fast. I guess because my old wounds hadn't fully recovered and you wanted more from me while I still had my doubts. Doubts about myself. Forgive me. I've always been so confident and happy. Maybe somewhere deep inside I believed I wasn't worthy of you.
Do I look confident now?
No! Ellie smiled weakly.
I don't know. I'm being torn apart by different feelings. One second I love you, like mad, and the next I see you with her. I hate you. It shouldn't be like that, right? Maybe I'm crazy. I must be wrong in the head, right, Nick?
Yeah. She looked at me with hope in her eyes. No, you're fine. It's just that... I waved the statue I was holding in my hands.
I never wanted to go so far as that. And this helps me. Relieves the stress. Relax.
For a moment, and then
nothing. Grandpa will make me stop playing music anyway. Ditch you.
You don't know that. I almost shouted. If we're together...
Do you even believe that yourself, Nick?
Maybe yesterday I wouldn't have been able to answer this question, but now, sitting next to Ellie, I was sure it was bound to happen. And even if not, I'd prefer to try and know that I'd done my best rather than regret the missed opportunity and blame myself for my cowardice for the rest of my life. I believe that if we love each other, only we can decide our future.
Heck, I want to believe you.
I interrupted her, exclaiming, Then do! In 5, 10 years, we'll only have memories of this moment. What do you want them to be? Maybe Kyosuke was right. I couldn't imagine myself sitting next to Ellie in Kobayashi Jun's office. But I could absolutely picture us on stage, shoulder to shoulder. On a stage bigger than the one in this seedy club.
Nick keeps saying these beautiful words. No girl could resist. This is how you seduced Iwamoto?
I didn't. Suddenly Ellie smiled.
Relax. I'm joking. I always knew you loved me. I just couldn't sort myself out. I still can't, to be honest. But you're right. You should give it a try. I want to regret not even trying to fight for something.
Ellie. I came closer and wanted to kiss her, but Ellie pulled away.
Let's do it after the concert. Right now we have to focus on our performance. Otherwise all this talk will have been for nothing.
Alright. I'll tell the guys. But first, I stretched the satchel out to her. Ellie looked at it, hesitating for some time, then took it. Disappeared behind the toilet door, and I heard the sound of flushing water. When she came back, she said confidently,
I'm done with that.
I'm glad.
Go already.
Ayo? Who are you? Ayo, who that? Relax art? Nah, you gotta be someone. Nah, you look too unique to not be someone some kind of cameo. I don't know who you are. Maybe I just don't recognize you. But are you someone? Ellie pushed me to the door and walked out of the dressing room after me. Seemed like the most difficult part was over. The guys were waiting for us on the street. Ishida was leaning on the wall, arms crossed over his chest, staring into space. Until she was pacing back and forth, occasionally glancing at the clock. Well, Tokyo Rider was studying the variety of beers offered by a nearby vending machine, looking remarkably composed. That's because he's motherfucking Tokyo Rider. When they saw Ellie and me, they froze and looked at us impatiently. You might say that you've got yet another bass player. I tried to make a joke, and Ellie immediately pinched me for that. Ouch. Thank God. Ishida breathed out with relief. That's just the circumstances. I had no other choice. Don't think that... Elbowing yourself. You guys laughed simultaneously. It's time, baby. In a sense, today we've moved up in the world. We were performing second to last. There was still tension between me and Ellie, but now her emotions had cooled. She seemed to have given the situation a more sober appraisal. Of course, I shouldn't have expected everything to go back to how it used to be in an instant. I didn't want that either. I wanted to grow up and move forward, not just indulge myself in juvenile infatuation. I walked down on the stage to face an audience already decently warmed up by the previous bands and alcohol. Come on, rock it! I heard from the hall. Ellie confidently walked up to the microphone and shouted, Hi everyone, we're Zed Fields. For these 20 minutes, every offense was forgotten. Oh. Oh! Ellie was focused on the music. In a sense, right now, music was her job. Fast Lane to Love? Oh, I like the title. And she was doing her job like a professional, giving it her all. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I fucks with it. Every note, every chord sounded genuine, came straight from the heart. Compared to Ellie to the other lead singers of the bands that had played before us, she seemed so much more vivid and talented. At some point I felt ashamed to be on the same stage as her. Okay. But neither Ishida, nor Mitsuyoshi, or Tokyo Rider were embarrassed in the slightest, even though they too could hardly be called natural-born musicians. Even if the band had a leader, we were playing together. I suddenly realized that those thoughts had occupied my mind almost the entire first song. I was barely even looking at the bass. I had to make an effort not to forget my part like that centipede that forgot how to walk. My second concert was working out better than my first. Now let me hear that solo. Ooh, ooh. Oh, it's tasty. Oh, it's tasty. Oh, it keeps going. Something familiar was always seemed simpler, no matter how complicated it was initially. My fingers ran up and down the strings effortlessly, and the rhythmic vibration of the strings running through my entire body felt as natural as my own pulse. It became that part that I'd been having so much difficulty with. And there it went, played without a single stumble, even a little improvisation. The audience received us much better than last time. It was hard for me to say whether it was because of our music or just the people in the audience. And the emotions of the crowd were transmitted to us, as if we, like our instruments, were plugged into an electrical grid through which delight, joy, excitement, ecstasy, and passion flowed. The energy was overwhelming me. I jumped as high as I could, bending my legs in the air. You should have noticed and followed my lead next time. Some people in the hall started to sing along. Soon the lonely voices became a unified choir that joined Ellie during the choruses.
Thank you, you're the best.
She shouted into the microphone, moving a strand of sweaty hair from her face.
And the next song is called My Ex-Boyfriend is a Total Fucking Dick.
I caught my breath and wiped my sweaty palms on my jeans. I glanced around and looked at Mitsubishi. He gave me a big smile, winked at me, gave the count for the next song. At that moment, I felt a kind of absolute happiness. And it wasn't only about me making up with Ellie. Maybe for the first time in my life, I found something I really enjoyed doing. Not just in the physical sense, like food, alcohol, or sex. I was doing something other people liked, and got immediate feedback from the people gathered in the hall. They liked Zed Feels' music, and I was a part of Zed Feels. Maybe their new bass player's hand would soon heal and I'd be kicked out. That would be later, and now I felt an incredible sense of unity with the guys and Ellie. Ishida was playing a solo, and I sneaked a peek at her. Ellie was beautiful, like a Scandinavian warrior maiden running into the heat of battle. Had a girl like that really chosen me? And moreover, had forgiven me after everything that had happened? Suddenly remembered Catherine. What had been my fault back then? But she'd been also ditched me without saying a word, flew 1,000 kilometers away, and when she came back, pretended like nothing had happened. But Ellie, tears welled up in my eyes. I want to throw the bass away and run to Ellie and take her into a firm embrace. Luckily, there was only one song left. We left the stage, accompanied by non-stop applause. We couldn't stay in the dressing room for too long. The headliners of the evening were preparing for their performance there. We walked out into the hall, and we were immediately swarmed by people. Some asked for autographs, others about future performances, and if we were planning on recording an album. Of course, Ellie was the center of attention. Meanwhile, Ishida was particularly popular with the girls. The humble bass player had no place here. Besides, I desperately wanted to catch my breath somewhere more peaceful. I excused myself, carefully made my way through the crowd to the exit. The freezing evening air was pleasantly energizing, but it didn't feel cold. My entire body was on fire, the level of adrenaline way beyond normal. My heart was beating, and steam came out of my mouth like smoke from a chimney. I took several deep breaths and looked up at the stars. They were shining unusually brightly, but today there was just one star I wanted to look at. Polaris.
Knack, where did you run off to?
I turned around and saw Ellie as she approached me, stopped, and wrapped her arms around herself, shivering from the cold. I was a little too hot in there, so I wanted to get some fresh air.
Tatsa, I managed to sneak away myself.
Just don't tell me you don't like the attention.
I just wanted to talk to you.
For some reason, I grew embarrassed. The concert went great. Played like gods. Could have hoped for better.
Yes, it went well,
she said without any enthusiasm.
But, Nick, while we were on stage, I realized something. You're a pussy.
I clearly imagined Ellie breaking up with me. This time for good. But we already... I started timidly, but she interrupted me.
We need to talk to Grandpa if we want to be together. If we want to keep playing music.
Alright. I breathed out with relief. So, you love me?
Of course. I always have,
she said simply.
Did you ever doubt it?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. 1,000 times. Yes. You suck. Yeah, you know, occasionally. Ellie laughed and embraced me, pressing her entire body against mine.
From now on, you'll never have to doubt me.
Is that a promise?
It is.
I grabbed Ellie by the waist, lifted her, gave her a passionate kiss. We said goodbye to the guys and started waiting for a car outside the club. Are you sure this is a good idea?
Knack.
She stomped her foot. No, I'm not saying we shouldn't talk to him at all, but maybe tomorrow?
Well, we'll change tomorrow.
You're right, nothing. I sighed in resignation. Soon a car stopped by us. A man in a black suit with a grim-looking face stepped out of it and gave Ellie a questioning look.
He's coming with me today.
No objections followed. The road there seemed unbelievably long, and when we finally arrived, I felt like I'd spent half a day unmoving in an uncomfortable position.
Are you scared?
Yes? Ellie asked with a smile on her face. She certainly had nothing to be scared of. It was her house. If I say I'm not, will that be the right answer?
Let's go then.
Once we reached the ballroom, Ellie stopped.
Wait here. I'll call for Grandpa.
She quickly ran upstairs, leaving me alone. And if even my own home sometimes seemed too big and empty to me, how did Ellie feel here? Surely there had to be loyal servants waiting somewhere in the back rooms for their master to call them. If you didn't know that, the mansion seemed abandoned. Even though there wasn't a single speck of dust anywhere, and every surface virtually sparkled. Luckily, the lights in the chandeliers under the ceiling shone brightly, otherwise I would have imagined ghosts roaming the endless dark halls of the house. It took at least 10 minutes, but I finally heard steps in the distance. Quick, light, springy, and after them, heavy and slow, but at the same time filled with confidence. Ellie appeared on the balcony first. She sure did.
Caught bored without us?
She waved at me happily. I walked up the stairs to them, politely bowed to Kobayashi Jun, trying to make the gesture not seem too sycophantic. Nikolai. His voice sounded like he'd run into a particularly unlikable employee in a narrow corridor.
Grandpa, we need to have a serious talk.
I said in a voice that left no room for objections, and even Kobayashi Jun himself obediently prepared to listen.
Nick and I made up, and...
Well, the first words didn't come easy to her, which the old man used, quickly interjecting. Really? And here I thought you and Nikolai weren't together anymore, since he... The old man squinted cunningly, giving me a quick glance. I hope you haven't forgotten what you told me just recently.
It's all in the past.
Your mood changes very quickly, Elizabeth. It's a bad habit.
Maybe, but it's my habit.
Ellie retaliated, crossing her arms over her chest and taking a wide stance.
And so is playing music. Nick's going to play in our band again.
Really? Why was I the last to find out? So today's concert wasn't going to just be a one-time thing? Oh, that was undeniably good news. So the musician I'd found for you didn't fit in the band.
He plays well, but it's our band, and I want Nick to play bass in it.
I see. Anything else? He asked briefly, without any malice.
Else? Well, aren't you going to scold me?
The old man looked at me, then back to Ellie. Was he not prepared to talk openly in my presence? If so, this kind of sensitivity looked a little petty, given the scale of Kobayashi Jun as a person. Elizabeth, I'm ready to discuss it with you another time.
Why not now? Because Nick is here? You can talk in his presence. I don't have any secrets from him.
She grinned, finding her grandfather's weak spot. Did he really not know what had been going on? That I had been running after Ellie for the past while about the powder, even Tokyo Rider's visit? It was in his power to get rid of me when Ellie and I had just broken up. What was it, sentimentality or just complete myopia when it came to his family? Elizabeth, I really think that. I decided it was time for me to interfere. Kobayashi-sama, I know you might think I'm a good-for-nothing. I'll make every effort to make your granddaughter happy. Words, Nikolai. Those are just words. They're worth no more than the air we're breathing. Do you believe that strumming those guitars of yours is true happiness?
Grandpa!
I exclaimed resentfully. And even if I wanted, I cannot approve of such.
It's the end of the 20th century now, you know. Are you going to force me to marry one of your business partners who'll be 30 years older than me?
The old man frowned for an instant. It seemed like he was finally ready to show Ellie her place. But instead, he just softly reprimanded her. I've lived a long life, Elizabeth. I know how to avoid the mistakes
that my parents made, you want to say?
He froze and looked straight at her unblinkingly.
And since you blame yourself for Mom's death, you've decided to take it out on me? But lightning doesn't strike the same place twice.
Elizabeth, this is not a subject for discussion. The risk is too...
Risk, Grandpa? Seriously? You are saying this? Weren't you taking risks when you were 18? Weren't risks required to create Kobayashi Corporation?
I'm a different matter. He replied hesitantly.
Really? And why is that?
Well, because... This was seemingly the first time I had seen Kobayashi Jun lost. At least to an extent. But I still couldn't get rid of the feeling that he was about to run out of patience in order his goons to bury me somewhere in the forest behind the house. That'd be crazy. Maybe they had an entire cemetery there already. That'd be crazy.
Grandpa, it's not fair to me. What if we become stars? Don't you want to see me succeed? Even if it's going to be in something else?
I saw the same stubborn expression in the old man's face I'd sometimes noticed on Ellie's. The question was already asked point blank. Even Kobayashi Jun, smooth-tongued as he was, found it hard to get out of this one. Elizabeth, I really think we should discuss this once you've calmed down a little. I think I managed to get to the club before Ellie had time to snort anything earlier today. I wonder what her grandfather would have said then.
No way. We're discussing this here and now.
I was a bit afraid to enter into the argument. The old man noticed that and apparently decided to use it. Nicola, at least you should talk some sense into her. After all, you've said you're ready to make Elizabeth happy. But I think Ellie is right, Kobayashi-sama, I said firmly, despite trembling inside. She's not a child anymore. She can make decisions about her future herself and bear responsibility for them. Responsibility, he smirked. So far, all your mistakes have been corrected by us adults. Saying that, the old man for some reason kept looking at me. Kobayashi-sama, we're not living in a dystopia. Children grow up, some make mistakes on the way, but the majority become normal people. Normal, is it? But it's not enough for me that Elizabeth becomes normal. But you do want her to be happy, don't you?
Yes, Grandpa, you do, right?
Ellie frowned. Kobayashi-jun paused for a few moments, then gave us a big smile and said, I can see that you have your heart set on it. But this conversation isn't over yet. He turned around preparing to leave, but suddenly stopped and said one more thing. When I was left alone with Ellie, she breathed a sigh of relief. What? I'm sorry, what? He said one more thing. When I was left alone with Ellie, she breathed a sigh of relief. But that looks like the sentence that's just narration following up here. So I don't think that was supposed to be the actual line. What did he say? What did he say, though? Ah, fuck it, whatever.
That went better than expected.
Yeah, you think so? As I saw it, the old fox had simply decided to make a tactical retreat than to slowly wear us down. On the other hand, he wasn't obstructing our relationship in any way, and at least for now, and maybe had just decided to wait for Ellie to change her mind again. I didn't want to admit it, but her grandfather knew her way better than I did. Either way, it's all up to us now.
I have to do something with my personality, too. Being a spoiled Ojo-sama isn't always a good thing.
It's never a good thing! It isn't. It's the one thing I fucking hate the most about you.
What? Aren't you gonna say, no, Ellie, you aren't like that at all?
Well, if you think so yourself. He looked at me for a while, as if trying to come up with a good reply, then suddenly yawned. Your grandpa wanted you to go to bed earlier. I smiled.
But...
No buts. We've just made peace with him. You want to screw everything up again?
Fine.
She responded, not even sounding too disappointed.
I'll ask the driver to take you home.
That'd be very convenient, but before that... I pulled her over and gave her a passionate kiss. I walked out to the street and immediately embraced by the chilling, piercing wind. Winter was coming. Okay. Yeah, you definitely had to throw that line in there, didn't you? I shivered, which didn't escape Ellie's notice.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
She returned a couple minutes later with my jacket in her hands, when I put it around her shoulders that night on the square in the center of Tokyo. I don't remember that, but okay.
Here.
Ellie proudly handed it to me. Just in time. I laughed. The lights flew by me. I was sitting in the back of an expensive executive car, idly watching the endless streets, the numerous lanterns snatch out of the dark the electrical lights of signs and houses. In a sense, Tokyo never slept, doing its best to ward off the darkness for the sake of every citizen who did not wish to surrender to Morpheus's embrace. Right now, I only wanted one thing, to get to my bed and end this crazy day as soon as I possibly could. To start a new one tomorrow. Of course, the Kobayashi-jun question was far from resolved. Not everything was clear about my relationship with Ellie either, but today I had done something incredibly important and matured a lot. Maybe, I'd even say probably, new challenges awaited us in the future, but at least things didn't look as hopelessly grim anymore. Time passed by, and soon life returned to normal. Kyosuke seemed almost happier than me that I made up with Ellie. Michael was more reserved, but also congratulated me on the occasion, even feeling charitable enough to give a smile. Learning about it, the rest of our classmates pretended they hadn't been avoiding me just recently, suspecting that Iwamura and I were a thing. Kiyome herself was clearly unhappy about it, but did her best not to show it and stopped chasing me around. which I was very happy about, since it clearly took an effort for Ellie to hold back her baseless jealousy. The guys in the band also breathed a sigh of relief when things calmed down. The last concert was even more successful than we had first thought. We started getting more offers from organizers. We had to practice more than before. Ellie and Nishido started writing new songs, while I tried to spend several hours almost every evening perfecting my bass technique. Soon, graduation exams began, so Ellie and I started spending much less time together. But I still felt that our love became stronger and stronger with every day. On the day of our graduation ceremony, every student gathered in the yard. The principal's never-changing podium appeared at the school's entrance, but Ellie was nowhere to be seen. I ran to her classroom, but it was empty. Well, then it was obvious. The old school wing was filled with the sounds of a piano. Ellie was sitting behind it, playing one of our songs, staring unblinkingly in front of her. Here you are. I've been looking for you everywhere. Let's go, or they'll start without us. Neck? She asked if she was waking up for a daydream and turned to me. Come on, we'll be late. She closed the lid and pouted. I don't want to. She suddenly sobbed. I'm scared. Scared of what, silly? I asked with genuine surprise. I don't want our school days to end. We've been so happy here, and I don't know what'll happen to us in the future. Well, we'll only be happier. Distracted by the mundane, lately I'd barely considered the future. Unexpectedly, the future for me started to consist of the following day's rehearsals, repeating bass parts, and thoughts of what to make for dinner to surprise Ellie. Guess having had my share of suffering, I just wanted to appreciate the current moment. We can't stay high schoolers our entire lives. We need to move on. We can't? Why not? She pouted like a spoiled child. He came closer. Should have thought about it earlier if you wanted to repeat the year. Too late now. Yama-sensei is about to start handing out diplomas. Well, let's not take them. You'll get yours by mail anyway. I grinned and sat down next to her. Nick, I want to remember this room forever. She wrapped her arms around my neck and kissed me. When I'm here with you, I don't need anything else. Ellie pulled my tie off and began to unbutton my shirt. But Sunshine, our diplomas, will be late. Then you better not waste time arguing. Oh. Wow. Oh, I like this intro riff already. Okay. Naturally, Ellie had to enroll in a university, even though she didn't particularly want to. But her grandfather reasonably decided that having a university degree would never hurt, no matter what she was planning to do with her life. Me? Oh. What? Huh. Meanwhile, I found a job at a game development company with Kyosuke's help. Big homie Kyosuke. My responsibilities include picking up the mail, making coffee, sending press releases to different newspapers and magazines, sometimes even helping programmers with the simpler tasks that didn't require much knowledge or proficiency. Ooh. Okay. The lyrics definitely fit with, like, Ellie's story and whatnot. The, like, really nice bass parts they got going on, obviously. I don't know, I like Fast Lane to Love more, though. Actually, what's the name of the song? One Day in the Limelight? More of a Fast Lane to Love fan. I liked the job. Most importantly, it didn't tire me out. Okay. Uh-huh. I was employed as a part-timer, so I didn't spend 2/3 of my life at the office like the majority of the Japanese workforce. We would rehearse in the evenings, perform almost every week, and I would often spend nights together with Ellie. Strangely enough, I didn't feel like she was growing distant after our school life ended. Naturally, in many senses, each of us had their own lives now, but they followed parallel paths to the same destination, not in diverging different directions. The other wanted Zed Fields to be recognized outside of the crowded halls of rock clubs. But the other guys were getting older, Ishita had started a family, and the money from our performances and part-time jobs was no longer enough for him. And working full-time in modern Japanese society didn't allow any kind of serious involvement in music. On the one hand, I realized that the only irreplaceable person in the band was Ellie, but on the other, could be rightfully called a real musician by then. I don't want to get some random guy to take Ishita's place. Or anyone else's, to be honest. We were a harmonious and tight-knit group, which doesn't happen often with rock bands. That's when we got lucky. They say that fortune favors the bold, but the bold are usually the people who put the most effort into what they do. If you flip a coin a million times, sooner or later it will inevitably land on its edge. In short, we were offered an album recording contract by one of the labels that worked with rock music. It wasn't the biggest, but it was famous enough to satisfy our egos and fill our wallets. By then we had more than enough material. It turned out to be a complicated task to choose songs to fit the 40-minute runtime. We spent several months in the studio, trying different arrangements, endlessly re-recording the instrument tracks, helping the sound director with mixing and mastering. Finally, our first album, Bad Days, Good Days, saw the light of day. That is a shit album title. Bad Days, Good Days. Come on. Man, you better have some banging cover art, because if your album's just called Bad Days, Good Days, and the cover art sucks, like, y'all fucked it. It's difficult to pinpoint the moment when I realized we'd stopped being one of those beginner bands that spent their free time on music, not hoping to achieve anything greater. Somehow it happened all on its own. And there I was, quitting my job and dedicating myself fully to playing bass. Around that time, I finally moved in with Ellie, or to be exact, she moved in with me. Of course, her grandfather objected, but that war had long been lost, and it could be that the conversation that evening after the concert had been the decisive battle. When you back down once, it becomes easier and easier to make concessions afterwards. In small matters at first, and then in more and more important things. Apparently, even people like Kobayashi Jun are powerless against the fundamental laws of psychology. Throughout all that time, I only saw him a couple of times, and it always seemed to be accidental. I was visiting Ellie at her place. The old man was polite, and his face never expressed anything but hospitality, practiced to the point it had become automatic. It was hard for me to say how genuine it was, and I didn't even want to think about that. But he wasn't getting any younger, and sooner or later there had to be a moment when the question of inheritance could no longer be postponed. People were saying that there was a young and promising girl in the corporation who was already running the business planning department. She seemed to be the same age as Ellie and me. Kagome. In Japan, inviting a person from outside to continue the family business is a common practice. So why wouldn't Kobayashi Jun pay attention to that girl? In any case, I didn't care much about the fate of his corporation since it no longer had anything to do with Ellie. It was Kagome. It's amazing how things that seemed to be so crucial just recently, and the dangers that seemed so lethal, are washed away with the flow of time, like images on 100-year-old photos, and the sounds and feelings that accompanied them fade away. And then the choice between chunks of meat at a convenience store become a more serious challenge than how the turmoils of the past are seen in your memories. Or maybe it happens only with issues that are happily resolved. Either way, tourism isn't the same as immigration. At first, Ellie found it hard to live without maids, a cook, and a personal driver. Of course, she'd stayed at my place plenty of times before, but never longer than several days in a row. Naturally, she had never had to wash and iron clothes, clean the house, or, God forbid, cook her own food. She tried to bear with her new responsibilities stoically, but I could see that it wasn't easy for her. Find out in your 20s that a shirt will be crumpled if it isn't ironed. It'd be a shock to anyone. I wouldn't say it was always easy, but there were never arguments or even fights between us. Ellie would often suddenly have large sums of money on hand exactly when we needed it most. I knew that her grandfather was helping her, but didn't dare argue, because we really needed it. It was hard for me to say what was driving Kobayashi Jun. How would I have acted if I were in his shoes? Perhaps it only seemed weird to me because I lacked experience in life. Or maybe I simply didn't know something important. Several more years passed. We finished recording our third album and we were invited to perform at the Budokan for the first time. It was what we dreamed of our entire lives. Although I'd hardly dreamt of becoming a professional musician before I turned 18, but was that important? Scientists say that human cells are fully replaced over the course of 7 years. I was 25 by now, which meant that I was a completely different person from my 18-year-old self. And there we were going on stage. Not the only other person that isn't, Nikolai and Ellie is Tokyo Rider. Of course it is. Fuck yeah. The devs knew who was important. And there we are, going on stage. Ellie was a bit ahead, with me right behind. The crowd had been roaring and chanting Zed Feels for a while now. Why do you always need to make the audience wait? To warm and rile them up for the actual performance was probably the right answer. We'd played on other open stages and in big clubs many times before, but the Budokan was on a completely different level. The sound of our guitars traveled hundreds of meters all around us, slipping between the stands, flying all the way to the arches of the roof. The bass was rippling rhythmically through the people in the front rows. It seemed to me that an ocean was raging in front of us, preparing for a storm. And our instruments started to sound different, more majestic and menacing, like Vikings' horns before a battle. As usual, Ellie was giving it her all, and I suddenly remembered how it all started. That day, when she first walked into my room, tuned the bass, and the two of us played one of the songs that would be part of today's concert. It seemed that it happened so long ago, but at the same time, the memories preserved their old colors. Ellie's shining smile, her golden laughter, and the attractive dimples on her cheeks that had seemed so unreachable to me back then. In the break between songs, she turned to me and smiled, just like back then, 7 years ago. It was incredible how two people from different worlds had fallen in love with each other, weathered every challenge, and were still together even after such a long time. Not standing in place, no, but moving forward to new heights. It could be that a world tour lay ahead of us. Maybe we'd even perform in Russia, now that it was open to the world after the collapse of the USSR. In another 7 years, the 20th century would be over, but, so I believed, Ellie and I would still be together, and Zed Feels would still be performing. Ugh. My stubbornness could have led me in the wrong way more than once, or even cost me my life. Yeah, no, that'd be crazy. But if I had made any other choices, I would be staying on the stage with the woman I loved. And though the lyrics of her songs made thousands of people in the audience ecstatic, I knew that only our love was filling them with true meaning. Even story has its beginning and its end, but ours was just getting started. And there we have it, folks. There we go. The end of not only Ellie's route, but of my playthrough of Love, Money, Rock, and Roll. Oh, this is Fastlane to Love. I was like, God, this sounds familiar. Of course it does. So, I know this one's a lot of people's favorites. Ellie's route. I'm gonna be honest. I'm feeling like mid at most. I was enjoying it to a point, but like the entire back half of it, I was just not nearly invested into it as I was with every other route. I greatly enjoyed every other route. This had a nice finish to it, even though it was very predictable. I don't know. As a whole, I think the game is really great. Like, let me just say, as a whole, now that I've completely finished it, as a whole, phenomenal. Soviet games absolutely fucking outdid themselves with this one. It's fucking insane how much they've improved since Everlasting Summer. Like, the fact that I've dumped, like, 50 some hours into this, like, that's insane, whereas I dumped a total of 20 hours into Everlasting Summer. They packed so much into this, and it was, for the most part, it was really good. Like I said, I wasn't a fan of Ellie's route here at the end, but the other three, phenomenal. Really fucking good. But even if we look beyond just, like, the writing and the characters, like, the art is fucking phenomenal. Like, the art is gorgeous. They did a great job with the artwork. I absolutely love the art of it. It's amazing. The soundtrack, do I even have to fucking tell you? Y'all have seen me stop several times just to vibe to the music. The fucking The soundtrack, phenomenal. Loved it. Amazing. Honestly, this is a phenomenal... Overall, the story is phenomenal. Like, the overall game, I'd probably throw it like, maybe like 8 or a 9. I'm feeling like a solid 8 for sure. Potential 9. But I think the only real downside to it is Ellie's route, in my opinion. I liked every other route, but Ellie's route just did not rub me the right way. Even with Himitsu's route and all the mentions of Catherine, and you know, that did get on my nerves a bit. Overall, the route itself was fine. You know? Like, Kagome's route is still my favorite. I do believe that I started with the best one. It was what I was worried about, and I was right. I did start with the best one. In my opinion, obviously this is all fucking subjective. But regardless, it was all just so fucking good. So fucking good. Like I said, like even Ellie's route, I don't hate it. I don't think it was bad. It was just very underwhelming. I don't think it was nearly as good as it could have been. I think there was definitely potential for it to be better. But regardless, it was still it was still good. It was okay. Well, it was okay. It was okay. It was okay. But yeah, overall, I think this game was more than well worth the wait. I'm very happy that I supported this game during its development. Like I said, it'd been 4 years. 4 years? Was it 4 years or 3? I don't know. It's been several years since I first backed this game, and I'm very happy I did. I'm very impressed with everything they've done. Like, even if there was one route I didn't like, the rest of it is just so phenomenal that I'm more than happy that I supported this. Absolutely phenomenal project. I highly recommend it. We'd like to extend our sincere gratitude to everyone who supported this game in the many years of its development. Thank you. I'm very glad I did support it during its many years of development. Fucking phenomenal. I know, unfortunately, Soviet Games, by the name of the studio itself, you can kind of guess where they're based. And right now they're dealing with a lot of things due to global circumstances. I don't want to delve too much into that. But I hope that they will be able to make more things in the future. Because I already liked Everlasting Summer. This is clearly, it far exceeded my expectations. So I really do hope that Sex Dictator? Hey, yo, there's someone called Sex Dictator. Sorry, I couldn't just ignore that. But I really hope one day that they'll be able to come back from the current world events and create more, stories. Because they've truly done a very good job. They really have. I am incredibly impressed. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and sit through the rest of the credits here. Simply because there's an achievement behind it, and this is going to be one of the last times I play it. So, just me being my little achievement slutty self, I'm going to sit here and then I'll cut to when I come back. I want to break free. I want to break free. Wow, what a name. What a name. Alright, what's up, guys? So, the game fucking crashed on me as I was going... Not the game, like the whole computer fucking crashed on me as I was going through the credits. So, yeah, just want to pop back in and say thank you to everyone who's watched this playthrough. I appreciate it. I know this playthrough may not be what the majority wanted, but like I said, this is one I've been waiting years on, and I'm very happy I got the chance to play it. And I hope more people will give it a chance because I do think it's a legitimately great game. But yeah, with that said, thank you guys for watching. It's all much appreciated. And I will see y'all in whatever it is I play next. But for now, peace.